Cool. Okay. We are in, baby. What it is, my fellow nerds and gangsters. Welcome back to the Spiffy Nerd Herder channel. I am Danny. And now, we got some good stuff to talk about today. Let me know if you're watching. All one of you concurrent viewers right now. So, the movie watch list designates today as The Treasure of Sierra Madre. And now, I didn't do a stream yesterday either. But Deckle Taco, you got to skip because you're busy. What can you possibly be busy over? I don't get that, but okay. Edgesword 1, PS4. Hello there. General Edgesword 1, PS4. So yesterday was, for the watch list. If you haven't checked it out, check in the description below. Dark Knight Rises was yesterday. Treasure of Sierra Madre was today. But I want to talk about the Clone Wars and what's going down with the Clone Wars, because that also, I promised that we would connect that into this, because that is ongoing. As we talk, right now we've had 7 of the promised 12 episodes. And I want to know, first off, just what are you guys thinking? Are you guys digging? Are you loving? Are you hating on Season 7 of the Clone Wars? Are you even watching it? And I'm going to let you know what I'm thinking. All right, so Edgesword 1 says, I personally love Season 7 of the Clone Wars. All right, so we've gotten 2 story arcs so far, right? We got the Bad Batch arc, which was the first 4 episodes. And now we are 3 episodes into the Ahsoka arc, which is the events immediately following her leaving the Jedi Temple. So Edgesword 1, I want to know what you're loving. What are you digging? What is tickling your fancy in this season? Do you like one story arc more than the other? Talk to me, baby. What do you got? What do you love? Soda Pop, what it is? Daedalic Scientist. Hello there, General Scientist. So for me, while you guys are typing away on your keyboards and let me know what you like for the Clone Wars, for me, I enjoyed the Bad Batch. I enjoyed the Bad Batch arc for the first 4 episodes. I thought it was interesting because, we got the previous Bad Batch arc that we got for the Clone Wars was in another season, and it was the Bad Batch, like the 99s, where they were the Bad Batch in a bad way, where they still lived, but they weren't combat ready. But so this is like the opposite end of the spectrum, where they're just like beyond awesome. And I thought it's pretty cool. Of course, I liked having Anakin in there. Getting the redemption of Echo was very nice. Personally, I would have preferred if we had a little bit more of intrigue in there with Echo. Like, is Echo truly converted back? Is he truly on our side? Had he not been corrupted, like, say, we watched Winter Soldier last week or this week, did he become like a Bucky Barnes type character where he's now corrupted a little bit? Okay, so let's see here. Soda Pop says, I love the way it's going. Carly Johnson, what it is. Mythic Bricks, hey, it's been a while. I really dislike the most recent episode, but I like the arc. You know what? I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna hate on a little bit on episode 7 for the Clone Wars. It's fun. It was a fun episode. It was nice to see Ahsoka use a little bit more of the Force, but nothing changed from beginning to end. They were in prison. They break out. By the end of the episode, they're back in prison. It's like, okay, so literally nothing about the status quo changed. They don't know that she has the Force, so that didn't change. Maybe she got a little bit more points with the sisters, possibly, by saving them on multiple occasions. But nothing changed in the episode. The story didn't really progress forward at all. So I didn't like that, even though it was a really fun episode. Okay, what it is. Let's see here. Dale asks, how am I doing? I'm doing good. My family and I, we got outside a little bit today, and it was really nice. So it was good. Let's see here. Everything with Rex and Anakin has been beautiful. Yeah, so those first 4 episodes I enjoyed. I love Rex. He's definitely one of my favorite characters. My prediction, if we get to see it, what I would like to see is that Rex discovers that Palpatine is somehow feeding information to the Separatists, and he realizes that something is wrong and they're being kind of controlled, and that's why he and Wolf and the third home slice, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, that's why they take out their inhibitor chips, which we, of course, know that they don't have those chips once we get to the Clone Wars. or to the Rebels show. Okay, let's see here. I'm disappointed they killed off Fives before we saw Echo. Yeah. Season 7 is actually really good, but I found the first 4 episodes boring because I've seen the unfinished Bad Batch episodes upload on YouTube. See, I haven't seen them, so I thought they were good. I did know that they did upload them a little while ago, but I never watched them. I like Ahsoka's morals being questioned in this arc. That's a good point. I do like how she's starting to kind of see a little bit what Anakin will end up seeing. Are the Jedi perfect? Are they truly the guardians that they claim to be? So I do like how she is questioning some stuff. That's always good. Getting your character to question things is always intriguing. Carly Johnson says same. I did not like episode 7 because it was pretty much useless, and they were back to where they started. Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I don't want to go as far as saying it was useless, because we did get the kind of the questioning of that Ahsoka questioning her path as a Jedi a little bit. But all right. So Mythic Brick says, "Don't get me wrong, it was a super fun episode to watch, better than the others for sure. Regardless, even my friend, the biggest Star Wars shill, ever texted me and randomly told me that he hated it." All right. Dale says, "I'm hoping for Ahsoka's transition to the Mandalorian arc is pretty seamless. Ursa and Bo-Katan were there, so moving in the right direction, the next arc would be cool." Yeah, I am interested to see how these Mandalorians come into play. Will they connect them somehow so that when Ahsoka does show up in Mandalorian Season 2, if that will come into play. Speaking of Mandalorian Season 2, I think it's very interesting because we know based on the season finale or the series finale of Rebels, when Ahsoka and Sabine Wren went off to find Ezra Bridger, this was very, very shortly after the victory. I'm freezing up. Oh, that's not good. Well, I don't know what I can do about that. Hopefully it stops here. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, Ahsoka and Sabine, they go off right away, basically after the Battle of Endor, to go find Ezra. Mandalorian Season 2 takes place like 6 years after the fall of the Empire. So by that point, it's conceivable that Ahsoka's already found Ezra. So we might be getting to see Ezra too. And I would assume that we're going to see Sabine as well in Mandalorian Season 2. So I think it's the timeline of those two stories are going to be very interesting to see how they coincide. But guys, I'm thinking we're going to see some Ezra in Mandalorian Season 2. And I also am predicting, because 0% of my predictions are correct, that Yoda will have come from the unknown regions, the species, and Ezra will have discovered that species in his hyperspace jump with Thrawn. They will have gone to the unknown regions. They got to go there to find him. I think it'll all connect, guys. It'll all connect in a beautifully amazing way. All right. So let's see here. Let me just pull this back up. All right. So, Mythic Brick says, also my little sister who loved everything Ahsoka commented after the episode, "Dude, that was stupid. They were in the jail in the beginning and the end." How old's your sister, Mythic Brick? I really liked all of Anakin's scenes in the first arc. Gregor, thank you. Thank you. Gregor, Wolf, and Rex are the ones who take out their inhibitor chips before Order 66. All right, so Soda Pop. I found it interesting that we got to see what the Pikes are like. And that has been interesting. I agree. We see a little bit of the Pikes in earlier episodes of the Clone Wars. They're straight up basically like meth head drug dealers that are constantly on drugs. But it's been interesting to see them interact and talk more and kind of know a little bit more about them. So that's been fun. All right. So So Mythic Brick Sister's 10, and she caught that the beginning of the episode compared to the end of the episode of episode 7 of Clone Wars was basically the same thing. They start in jail, end in jail. Now, going back to the Bad Batch episode, one of the things that has kind of disappointed me a little bit with these new episodes of the Clone Wars is that they're very contained stories, and I know that some people really enjoy that. But for me, I like a little bit of a overarching story action. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to see, especially now that we know 100% how everything ends, I want to see more interconnection between these new episodes with what will eventually happen in episode 3, what perhaps is going down with Kanan Jarrus. I want to see a little bit more of that. I want to, when Ahsoka leaves, give me, maybe she discovers something about the Jedi that she didn't know, and taking it one step further than what they're already doing. Maybe she discovers a corrupt Jedi, or maybe she discovers, or maybe the Sith try to recruit her, possibly. Maybe Count Dooku tries to recruit her. That would have been really interesting. And like I said, with the Echo, it would have been nice to get a little bit more like, is it simply they just captured him and using him to get an algorithm, or are they using him to, is all this a trap, or is all this a, like I said, I want to see someone discover that Sidious is giving intel to the Separatist, or that Palpatine, the Chancellor, is giving intel to the Separatist. I want to see a little bit more overarching story rather than such intimate, contained stories. Okay, let's get back to the comments. Bad Batch was fine. Sneeze. Whew, my goodness. That was a COVID-19 sneeze. All right. Where was I? All right, Mythic Bricks. Bad Batch was fine, but I didn't like the village protecting one. That is the most overused trope in the Star Wars TV. What I found funny about that one, it's like, we'll help you as long as you don't bring the war to us. Oh, you brought the war to us. Okay, we'll fight. So many innocent villagers die in the Star Wars universe. All right, Dalek Scientist. I hope we get Anakin scenes during Order 66. My hair's sticking up a little bit. I hope we get Anakin scenes during Order 66 as well, and our favorite clones' reaction to it, whether they are killing Jedi or watching Jedi being killed. From what I understand, this new season is supposed to go through Order 66, so I think we will see that. And, in the Clone Wars, Anakin insinuates that if Ahsoka had not let him go back to Coruscant, then he would not have turned to the dark side. So Anakin and Ahsoka certainly are going to hook up together, right before he has to go back to Coruscant to save the Supreme Chancellor. We know that they do interact, at least to some degree, based on the trailers. Yeah, I definitely want to see Rex's reaction to Order 66, whether or not he's even an active clone at that point, too, because he would have had to have taken out his inhibitor chip, unless somehow he figures out a way to countermand the inhibitor chip and then takes it out post-Order 66, so he can't be affected anymore. That's always a possibility, right? Okay, so they had a bunch. Let's see here. Bless you, bless you, bless you. I have coronavirus. I do not, but don't want that. Don't want that nonsense. Okay. Dale says, I want to see things connect more. So I agree. Mythic Bricks. It would be so heartbreaking to see clones such as Kix and such ruthlessly slaughtering Jedi. I agree. Can you imagine if Rex got Order 66 and he just started straighten up killing Jedi? It would be devastating. But I think we will see that. I think we will see Jedi that we have known and loved you perform Order 66, which will be great. It's from heartbreaking, but storytelling point of view will be pretty nice. And so I hope we get to that point. We've got 5 episodes left. Sam Witwer has claimed that the last episodes were like some of the greatest of all Star Wars. Of course, people say that all the time, so I'm going in with cautious optimism, if not skepticism. Because what I've seen so far has been good, but it hasn't blown me away. It hasn't, with The Mandalorian, I loved the overall story. I did not enjoy. I mean, I enjoyed, but I didn't love the self-contained episodes. Like I didn't really care for the prison episode because there was nothing. It didn't have anything to do with the rest of the story. I am so much. This is just my personal preference. It's not it's right or wrong, but I just enjoy overall story arcs. I don't care for filler episodes. I never have. I remember when I used to be a fan of the show Smallville way back in the day, like when I was in junior high school. I loved the overall story episodes, but I hated the filler episodes because it just felt like a waste of my time. I want to know what's going on in the overall story, not the fillers. Okay, what do we got? So Carly Johnson says, I'm really excited for Mando Season 2 because I've always wanted to see what else happens to Ahsoka. She's an amazing character. I'm glad we are developing her even more. Yeah, I am really excited to see her in live action. Like I said, this is 6 years after the Battle of Endor in Mandalorian. Assuming that it picks up right after Season 1, maybe it's a year later. But, and so I'm thinking that her and Sabine are already back from looking for Ezra. Or there's always the possibility that in Din Djarin's journey to take the child to his people, they go to the Outer Rim or the Unknown Regions, and they find Ahsoka and Ezra there, or they find Ahsoka and Sabine, and they are on still on their journey searching for Ezra. So maybe Din Djarin will assist Ahsoka and Sabine in looking for Ezra, because Ezra is the only person, as far as they know, that has the Force, and Ahsoka will, I guess. I should think about what I'm saying a little more. But maybe the search for Ezra will coincide with what's going down with Baby Yoda child. So that's a possibility too. So they kind of, it would be interesting to do that. Then you kill two birds with one stone storytelling wise, because the whole journey to search for Ezra, they're going to make that sooner or later. And so either they dedicate their own show towards that, or they just integrate it in with The Mandalorian Season 2. So that would be really fun. I'd be for that. Some people are kind of hating on The Mandalorian as an excuse to bring back Ahsoka and Ezra, but I'm cool with it. I like it. I like Ezra. I rewatched Rebels recently, and I love the show. Okay, let's see what we got. All right, so Mythic Break says, Order 66 of Mandalore, and yeah, we know everything afterwards. Wait, I think I skipped a comment. Oh, my best guess is Anakin lands with the 501st and Rex on Mandalore and meet Ahsoka, who's there with Bo-Katan, and the Night Owls and Death Watch. Anakin is called away. Siege of Mandalore ensues with total epicness. And Order 66 of Mandalore, yeah, we know everything afterwards. That's possible. I mean, it'd be really cool if Ahsoka was somehow with Jedi or with clones when Order 66 goes down. But because she is no longer a Jedi, she is not a target. But since she's still straight up sick, she maybe fights against the clones because she doesn't know what's going on. I certainly hope to high heaven that she doesn't try to kill the Jedi with the clones. I don't think we've gotten any insinuation that that happened, but that would be horrible. But I would like to see the Siege of Mandalore and the Great Purge, as it's called. I would like to see all that because it'd be epic, as you say, total epicness. But stories over small is why. But stories over small is why Rogue One will always be better than Solo. I don't know if I understand that. But I agree, Rogue One's better than Solo. I did watch some Solo the other day, though. Okay, Dale Erderman, he likes the video. You're awesome. All right, Mythic Breaks. My best guess is the only connection to Ahsoka is with delivering Baby Yoda to his people. Cosmic Acorn, hey, what's up? I just joined, but I heard maybe Din Djarin will help Ahsoka and Ezra find Sabine. I already love this theory. I think it'd be sweet. I mean, like I said, you're killing two birds with one stone. You're getting to show that amazing, the search for Ezra. You get to bring Thrawn back. Oh, I want Thrawn. I love Thrawn. I've loved Thrawn ever since I read the original Thrawn trilogy, back when it was like the episodes 7, 8, and 9. I think that'd be sweet. But yeah, I'm digging that theory too. I'm copyrighting it. George Lucas can't have it. Lucasfilm can't have it. Okay. How how did I know we'd get into Mando season 2 speculation? Because we're just like that. I hope we get to see a scene of what happens to Jesse during Order 66. Jesse, who's Jesse? Remind me. I bet they're about to capture Maul when Order 66 hits. That would be sweet. I like that. Yeah, they're about to capture him, and then Order 66 happens, and everything just falls apart. I hope we get to see Rex find Ahsoka, and he helps her escape. That would be sweet, too. Ooh, I like these. Did you know Kix is still alive in the sequels? No, I didn't. Sorry, what it meant is that Rogue One is better than Solos. I think big stories are better than small. Yeah. I mean, Rogue One definitely incorporates into that big story. Rogue One, and Solo is a very self-contained story. Even though they hint at a little bit bigger story when they introduce Maul at the end. But yeah, generally, I agree. My big thing about Solo is that it was virtually absent of the Force. To me, the Force is what makes Star Wars. The very first video I did on this channel, actually, was a review of Solo, and this was my big thing. You got to have the Force in Star Wars. It's what separates Star Wars from Star Trek. The biggest thing, at least. And without the Force, it's just not Star Wars. And so, even though we have so many... I lost my train of thought. Apparently, what I was saying was not important. Okay, well, let's get back to the comments. Thrawn is the best. He gives me I'll remember here in a second. All right. Thrawn is the best. He has such a tactical mind and gives me goosebumps. Jesse is a clone in the 501st. Okay, thank you. He helps Fives in Hardcase steal Umburan starfighters. All right, now I remember. I also rewatched the Clone Wars recently, too, while I was at work. Shh. Don't tell Netflix. Just kind of have it on in the background as I work and listen to it. All right, Jesse is a clone in the 501st who's an ARC trooper. Kix is the 501st medic. Rogue One was better in almost every way. I didn't like the casting in Solo. Yeah, the casting in Solo, that's just a tough one in general. That's just a hard one. You're replacing Harrison Ford. But, I watched some of Alden Ehrenreich's earlier films before Solo. And honestly, I can totally see why they cast him as Solo. He's a good actor. I really enjoyed him in the Coen Brothers film where he plays some cowboy actor. Oh, why can I not remember the film's name? But he was really good in it. So I can see why they casted him. It's just tough shoes to fill. But with Solo, because with Rogue One, even though there was very little Force in the film, it was still it was a common thread throughout the entire film. It was mentioned frequently. Everything was about the Force for the light side people. But Solo is just never mentioned. I would have liked to have seen, why does Han think of the Solo as the Jedi or the Force as simple tricks and nonsense? I assume the plan was always to show that a little bit more in the sequel to Solo, because certainly he would interact with Darth Maul at some point, with Kira and stuff, but we may never get to see that. Okay, I prefer Solo. Okay, so Ed Sword, let us know why. Like I said, I enjoy Solo. It's just not my favorite. Let's put it that way. But I think there's some strong points in it. Ron Howard's a strong director, so. All right. I feel like Rogue One is better because it helps the original trilogy storyline. And there is that connection, for sure. What I would like to see, to be totally honest, I want to see more of, if they're going to do another Solo, I would like to see more of the backstory between him and Boba Fett. If they're going to do a sequel to Solo, straight up, no questions asked, Solo and Boba Fett gotta be like this. They gotta be two peas in the same pod. That way, they start off as straight up best friends, basically, and end up as virtual nemesises and arch enemies. And it would just be interesting to get more of that relationship. Be, of course, interesting to see how Solo deals with somebody that is a smuggler like him, because we very much see him out of his elements in the original trilogy. where people are not smugglers. People are fighting for a cause greater than him. But with Solo, it's, before the original trilogy, he's very much out for himself. Of course, we kind of see a little bit how he gets to become that person in Solo. I think, of course, the plan was to further implement that even more in a sequel that will probably never happen. But I would like to see. I think it would be fun if Boba Fett was a main character in the Solo sequel if they would ever make that. All right. So Edge Sword 1 says, I prefer Solo because it's a different feeling. I like the heist movie formula in Star Wars. It works. Yeah, I like heist movies in general. Make Solo 2 happen. All right. Yeah, Boba and Han have something going on. It's not explained in the new canon. No, not at all. And I would love to see a little bit more of that backstory. I would have loved to have seen a storyline where Snoke. This is, of course, just wouldn't work anymore, I think. But where Boba Fett was involved in turning Ben against his father, where Snoke uses Boba Fett to do it. Back in the time where Snoke was maybe thinking about creating a clone army using Boba Fett's genetic templates. It kind of all is based on the line from Force Awakens where Kylo basically says, maybe Snoke should have used a clone army, or whatever he says. But whatever. Okay. I'm honestly shocked that Boba Fett wasn't in Solo. I was pretty surprised too. Honest. They won't do another Solo because it didn't make too much money. No, they won't. I mean, doing another Solo is pretty much out of the question. They have, John Kasdan spoke a little bit about it recently, where he basically said the slate for Star Wars is super full at the moment. Another Solo wouldn't even fit in for many years. By that point, of course, Alden Ehrenreich's going to be too old and possibly not even interested anymore. Yeah, it probably just wouldn't happen. It's unfortunate. I would like to have them finish the story in some form. But hey, we've got a million TV shows coming soon. This could be something that happens in the Cassian Andor series, possibly. Well, I don't know. The series that nobody asked for, but hopefully is cool. Okay. Let's see here. It would be interesting to see how Maul put together Crimson Dawn. Yeah, see that? I'm interested in. I'm certainly interested in all that. Okay. If Solo 2 happens, I think Boba Fett would be in it. It would make 10 times more money. It's clear how Maul creates Crimson Dawn. Just remake this Shadow Collective. I didn't care for any of the characters in Rogue One except K2SO and Saw Gerrera. K2SO was awesome. L3 and Solo was good. It's interesting how the droids in the Star Wars universe are getting so much love. How they are kind of the most deep characters. And I think that part of it is because they say what's on their minds, and they are. I mean, I think that's it. They always just say what's on their minds. They don't have filters. It's one of the things that made the original trilogy Han Solo so interesting, that he didn't have those filters. He just said what was on his mind, and I think that's why people gravitated towards it so much. And Leia too. Especially when you consider the banter between Han and Leia in the Death Star. There's no filters. They're saying straight up what the first thing that comes to their mind. They're not out there to impress anybody. And Luke was just kind of caught in the middle of it. The droids, like K2SO and L3 in Solo, they're like that, and it makes them very interesting, and it makes them kind of relatable, where they say the things that everybody's thinking but they don't want to say it because they're worried about what people are going to think about them. Okay, let's see here. Why the heck did they choose Cassian Andor of all characters? Why not Krennic? When they announced the Cassian Andor series, I kind of thought the same thing. It's like, of all the characters you can make a show out of, you pick Cassian Andor. It's like, okay, cool. Okay. I understand people not caring too much about the characters in Rogue One since they were kind of bland, but for 5 new characters in the scale of the story they were given, I think it was good. And I agree with you, Cosmic. I personally do enjoy the characters in Rogue One. But I know, like, Nikolai Vipe-Olsen, who was one of the co-writers on Vader Episode 1 and the next episode, that we're currently working on, he had the same way. He's like, I just didn't identify with any of the characters. I didn't find any of the characters interesting. And he's a very talented writer. He knows films like, he knows Star Wars like the back of his hand. He knows just filmmaking and writing in general much better than I do. And he has that opinion. So it's like, it's fine. There's nothing subjective. There's nothing completely objective. There's nothing concrete about filmmaking, right? It's all, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong. Okay, so let's see here. Abdi Muhammad, what's up, dude? Welcome. I want to see a series mashing up Star Wars canon and Legend droids with R2-D2, C-3PO, HK-47, Proxy, and K-2SO. I like the Darth Vader corridor scene in Rogue One. Well, soda pop. If you don't like that one, then you have no business watching Star Wars. That scene is legend. And, I talked to my mentor is the stunt coordinator and second unit director for Rogue One. And he did the stunt coordination for that scene. And which means he designed the scene, which means he designed the fighting. And so the idea of, throwing the guy to the ceiling and getting chopped in half, which is my favorite part. I'm like, dude, I love that part. He's like, yeah, that was cool. But when he would talk about the scene, he's like, I kept wondering, why doesn't Vader just use the Force to grab the card? So even he knew, but he did a great job, regardless. I love that scene. So let's see here. So back to the Clone Wars Season 7. Let's see here. Wait a minute. Bodhi is so weird after his mind is erased. What? Is he crazy or not? Saw says he will lose his mind, but does he? He's always weird to me. I've had the same thought too, that Bodhi's supposed to lose his mind, but he never really does. Honestly, I think it was they reshot about 70% of that film. So I think it was probably a storyline that got dropped in reshoots, to be honest. I've never asked my mentor about that because he directed a lot of the reshoots. Maybe I should ask him because I've always had that thought too. Like, why doesn't Bodhi kind of loses his mind for like 2 seconds when they're in prison, but as soon as they escape, he's basically fine again. So I wonder if that was just a dropped storyline. Okay. Let's see here. Rogue One probably gets a third of its awesomeness from the Vader scene. Totally. I mean, that's a scene that came about completely in the reshoots. That it was the brainchild of Tony Gilroy, who directed that scene. I remember seeing. When I was at USC, Gareth Edwards and Thomas Knoll and the other writer, the Gary Whitta, I think. They came to USC and did like a Q&A. And even he was like, because by that point he was now, he had already written his draft of the scripts, his script, and he was already off the project when they started doing all the reshoots and doing some rewrites. And he's like, I would have never have thought in a million years to have that Darth Vader scene, but I'd love it. So it was such a fun thing to hear, even him just gush over that scene. It was really cool. Dale Erdman says about the loses one's mind is mental incapacity, just a loss of memory. That's a possible way to look at it. I feel like maybe Vader didn't see the card since it's shown as a rebel trooper is hiding it. That's totally legit thought too. Totally, man. For why he doesn't use the Force to grab the card. Okay. All right, well, we kind of gotten off the Clone Wars Season 7, but I want to know what you guys thought about Episode 9, too. Okay, clearly he remembers things during Scarif. He says, Galen, this is for you, but he still acts weird and always has a perfectly strange line delivery. So clearly we have no consensus about what losing one's mind means when it comes to pilot Bodhi for Rogue One. Okay, Clone Wars Season 7 needs an end with the scene of Ahsoka searching for Anakin, then it goes to him as Darth Vader. Because we know that she does not know Anakin as Vader before Rebels. That's pretty much canon. It is canon. She doesn't find out until Rebels, and that is just a mere few years before. COVID sneeze. Giddy up. So she can't find out that Anakin is Vader. I thought they were just going to end after they have the plans and the rebels have it, and the tasty-looking Death Star explode. Tasty-looking scare Death Star explosion. Cassian reminds him. I think if he didn't remember, it might have become. Okay, so we're still on Bodhi. Okay, but going back, well, let me know, what do you guys think of episode 9? I did a review like right after I watched it, but I really haven't got thoughts about it. Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Was it liquid gold? What did you think? What did you think? For me, episode 9. It's hard for me to judge episode 9 as a standalone when it's so dependent on what happened in 7 and 8. In general, I love Star Wars. I want that to be the first thing out of my mouth at all times. I hope they keep making Star Wars to the day that I die. But in general, if I would have done the sequel trilogy, it would have been a very different story. Just in general, I just don't dig the story that much. Of course, there are great moments, things that I really like, but I felt there was a lot of different things they could have done. The whole Snoke misdirect for Palpatine just doesn't work to me. It just doesn't work. The idea that basically the Empire is not destroyed just doesn't work for me. I don't know. There's so many things that I don't dig. All right. Let me see. Mythic Brick says, Episode 9 was enjoyable. It took me about 4 weeks to process it, but left me feeling empty in the end. Some cool things. The Force Forces is one of my favorite scenes ever. All right. You said let's get back to something. I missed it. Oh, Episode 9. I keep thinking how insane Colin's script was. I've only read the summaries. I haven't actually read the script. Is the actual script online for Colin's script? If it was, I'll make it read it. Episode 9 was less interesting to me than Episode 1. Oh, that's bold words. Half of the Kylo versus Rey fight on Endor had no score, so that wasn't even exciting for me. The pacing was all over the place. It's surprising to find out that Palpatine had a son, which Soda Pop, I don't know if you've heard, the Palpatine's son was not actually his son. It was actually a botched clone. So Palpatine was trying to clone himself so that he could transfer his consciousness into a cloned body that would also be able to use the Force and everything like that. It was like part of his plot or ploy to be immortal, essentially. A Force essence transfer. It's a thing from Legends that Sith had been trying to develop for generations. And it's essentially what Palpatine was trying, in a form of that Palpatine was trying to do. So Palpatine's son is not his son. So Palpatine did not get busy with no Chica. Palpatine's son is a botched clone that didn't have the Force, but was still a physically and mentally viable clone that somehow escapes or gets away or whatever it might be, goes off. He does get down with some Chica, and they have Rey, who does have Palpatine's Force powers. So just like male pattern baldness skips a generation, I guess the Force skipped a generation from Palpatine's clone to Rey. So that's how Rey comes about. So Rey is Palpatine's daughter and physically, I guess. I don't know. If someone else can explain that to me and make it cool, please do. Okay. All right, let me see here. Someone's texting me. Hold up. That means I got to silence this phone. Okay. It's cool. I see what people don't like about it, but I have an imagination, so I fix all those things in my head. That's cool, man. There were a couple different moments that was fun. Episode 9 was memorable for Luke picking X-Wing out of the water and the Jedi voices for me. I love Episode 8, says Myth of Bricks. It was okay with Palps being back, but Episode 9 was like a movie and a half. Every moment in Octo 2 and 9 was perfect. Okay, so the stuff with Luke. Daily Scientist, Episode 9 was fine, but I like Palpatine returning was forced. A stupid line at the beginning of the movie made the entire movie take place in 2 days, which was not believable. Which line was that? Was that the dark side leads to many abilities that some consider to be unnatural? Okay, and it wasn't so bad. I enjoyed it as one of those movies that is so bad I can laugh at it like the holiday special. So in a sense, I ended up liking 9 less than the holiday special. Force powers are a recessive gene, I guess. It's funny. I thought the movie was fun. I mean, when I was watching the movie, I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. It was just kind of after I started thinking about it that I started noticing things that I didn't quite love. Because I'm a big fan of J.J. Abrams. I really like the way he directs things. I do like his sense that everything is hurtling forward. Some things did feel a little rushed in episode 9 for me. Particularly, like, I would have much preferred the first half to not be about trying to find Exegol. I would have liked it more to be about Palpatine's return, or something like that. Again, I'm going back to kind of just a macro view. It's just abundantly clear to me that there was no plan for this trilogy. That's the thing I struggle with. That there were so many things that got retconned. Unfortunately, I do, when people say, Lucasfilm needs to listen to fans more, they did listen to fans with episode 9. They changed everything that fans complained about. And when you change things so drastically from one story to the other, it just doesn't work. I'm kind of slouching a little bit here. And so it just, retconning everything just doesn't work. I mean, it makes it, then things just don't make sense anymore. Okay. The Jedi Voices scene was really memorable to me. A lot of you have been mentioning the Jedi Voices scene. I would have liked to see Force Ghost to all those characters, to be honest. I didn't dig the idea that Rey had to do it all by herself. But that's just me. Force powers aren't like a genetic trait that's passed on. Being force sensitive is chance. I mean, Shmi wasn't force sensitive. And you're right, but also we know that force powers are somewhat passed on because we know Luke and Leia got them from Anakin. So it does seem like a hit or miss thing because plenty of non-force sensitive people throughout the galaxy, I would say most, I'm just speculating here, but most Jedi come from parents who are not force sensitive. So, and it's hard to know how much, it's also hard to know how much of force powers are genetic because the Jedi can't have children. So, there's a very small sample size that to really work with to test, okay, if a Jedi is a child, how many times out of 10 is that child going to be force sensitive? Very small sample size there to deal with. Okay. I think, let's see here. So for me, Endgame set such a high bar for an epic finale movies, and I slept in it a little, and I was struggling getting to the theater on time, so I might not hate episode 9 so much after I watch it again. Endgame was an epic finale. There's no doubt about that. It really tied into everything. And, with the Marvel films, you can tell that Kevin Feige had the overall thing worked out. You can tell because it does fit together so much. There are a few things here and there about that do contradict to one another. But when you're making a film over the when you're making essentially one big story over the course of 12 years with 20 films, you're going to change your mind on a few things here and there, and that's fine. I think the audience forgives that. But with the sequel trilogy, it's, when there's so many turns and things that do end up contradicting each other, it just makes it hard for me. Okay. I think in the beginning they said Palpatine's fleet would be ready in 48 hours, so all the hyperspace from every side of the galaxy several times couldn't take place in 2 days. 9 would have been way better if the internet didn't spend 2 years complaining about it. How many times has Palpatine screwed himself over with Force lightning? Too many times, Cosmic Acorn. Too many times. And I want to know, okay, so Rey essentially kills him still. Is it because he like kind of kills himself with this force lightning that the whole plot to inhabit her body doesn't work? Is that how this works out? I still don't really know. I mean, that's the only. I'm sure somebody's come up with a clever explanation. I'm sure the book mentions it. Let's see here. But it's like, well, how does this plan not work? Because she still kind of kills him. All right, Dale says, Jedi can't have children. Looks at Anakin and Leia. Well, they can. Physically, they can have children. But rule-wise, they can't have children. So not many Jedi had children. That's what I was saying. So it's kind of hard to know how genetic it is. All right, when you hear the voices, it shows the same starfield from the beginning of A New Hope after the text scroll. Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. 12-year saga turned out much better than the 40-year one. Are you talking about Marvel? I still like Star Wars better, but I do enjoy the Marvel films. I really do. There's certainly this generation's Star Wars. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I would say arguably Marvel is more popular than Star Wars with a lot of people right now, which is kind of crazy. At least a lot of my friends, a lot of them, of course, like Star Wars, but they love Marvel. They're so into the MCU films. Okay, I wish the Knights of Ren had more screen time and were stronger than they were shown. So that's interesting. I don't know if you noticed, but there is so in the comics it does establish that the Knights of Ren have the Force, at least to some degree. But it's never shown in the film, except I did notice in one moment during the fight with Kylo and the Knights of Ren, one of the Knights of Ren force pushes Kylo. It's super quick. You blink and you miss it. But I went back and I went frame by frame because I thought I saw it. And sure enough, he force pushes Kylo. So they did have the Force, so it would have been nice to see them use it a little bit more. The 40-year saga is less than half the films. It's true. It's a franchise that took 40 years. And then again, I'm saying Star Wars is my favorite thing in the world. So, if I have any negative things to say about Star Wars, it's nitpicking for me because I love Star Wars. So it's incredible. And that includes Clone Wars Season 7. I expect perfection out of Star Wars, which is why I'm so hard on it. I feel like most of us would never, nobody holds Star Wars or the MCU films to such high level of expectations. None of us expect such a high level of expectations, even out of like Pixar films. We expect Pixar films to be good, but if one's not great, like Cars 2 or something, it's not like we throw our arms up and say Pixar's lost its way. And forgive me if you like Cars 2. I thought it was awful. But, okay. The top five franchises in Edged Sword's opinion are Star Wars, The Office, DC, Marvel, and South Park. Okay. I'm not gonna lie. I don't like The Office, guys. I know. Throw your tomatoes. Just because I don't like uncomfortable comedy. I don't like comedy that makes me uncomfortable because it makes me so uncomfortable I can't watch it. And I know some people love it and they dig it and it is their cup of tea, but I just don't like it. So that's the only reason I don't like The Office. Not because I don't think it's funny, but because I just don't feel comfortable. It just makes me feel all weird inside when I watch it. I don't like that kind of comedy. All right. Yes, he does force push him. Knight of Ren does force push Kylo Ren, so just check it out. You'll see it. All right. I'm a Zoomer, or iGen, or whatever you want to call me, and I love Star Wars more than anything else when I watch them. Star Wars took me away from the cringy Power Rangers obsession. Oh, well, if Star Wars did that for you, Cosmic Acorn, let's count that as a win. Let's just close the laptops right now and just say, you know what? Star Wars saved you from Power Rangers. Let's see here. I was also obsessed with Power Rangers too when I was little. I remember there was an episode of Power Rangers where they all get eaten by this like really big, kind of roly-poly looking character, and all their faces like appear on his stomach, and they're all inside his stomach, and they all got eaten, and the episode ends. I never saw the next episode. So to this day, I never have found out how the Power Rangers escaped from that predicament. All right. So apparently I insulted Mythic Bricks by insulting Cars 2. Star Wars used to be like an event, but we got spoiled in 5 years for the fandom menace to get Disney to pull back the reins. I just want more. More. I want more. And I know I shouldn't. Dalek disagrees with Edgesword's thing. It says he needs to replace South Park with Shrek. I think the top franchises for me are Star Wars, the MCU franchises, Lord of the Rings, for shizzle. I love Back to the Future. Love Jurassic Park. James Bond. Love James Bond. Love me some James Bond. Seinfeld. If you can count that a franchise. All right. Mythic Bricks is asking the question that I'm sure you've all asked. Why aren't you working with Star Wars Theory again? I am working with Star Wars Theory. I am just currently at the moment not directing episode 2, and the reason behind that is I'm just not available at the moment. He wants to release it in December, which I totally agree with and support, and I'm just not available to direct it at the point that he needs to shoot in order to hit that release date, and so that's the reason. However, we're currently working. We're revising the script. We had a script that we wrote with episode 1. We wrote the entire series all at once. Then we split it up into 3 separate episodes. We made episode 1. And since then, new things have been revealed in the canon. And it's not like nothing that we have in our current thing. One second. What? Oh, Luke, that's making too much noise.
Daddy, something to ask you.
Oh, I can't right now. All right, guys. Luke is playing Lego Star Wars. What? Do you need to jump?
No. You need to go on there and then get up there, but I don't know how.
I don't know either. You guys all played Lego Star Wars? Oh, it looks like you gotta go over there, Luke.
No, it doesn't. No, I already went across.
All right. Okay, let's see here. I started watching Marvel movies and they started creeping up on the Star Wars, and by Infinity War, I just put it up there.
No.
And Solo was men. After Endgame, I was just more impressed with Marvel in the end, is what Cosmic Acorn says. The Madagascar Cinematic Universe on that list. We watched Madagascar 1 just a couple weeks ago, actually, as a family. The kids had never seen it. All right, but back to Star Wars Theory. So we have gone back to the script for all the stuff that happens after episode 1, after Shards of the Past, and we've been making adjustments. We've had new ideas, of course. That happens after 2 years. We are adjusting certain things to make sure that it fits in even better with all of the Vader comics that's a little too loud. Little too loud. You got in now. With all the Vader comics, with episodes 7, 8, and 9. But I'm actively involved in working with Star Wars Theory and writing that, along with Nikolai. Star Wars Theory is one of my best friends. I love the guy to death, support everything he does, and he's just a great friend. So I am still working with him, just currently not directing. I wish I were. I wish I were, 100%. Okay, Lego Star Wars is the best. Somebody says hi, Luke.
Hi. Hi.
He's even got Star Wars. He's even got Lego Star Wars pajamas on right now. Come on. Okay. Wait, I can help with Lego Star Wars, says Mythic Bricks. I'm sure you can. I'm building a Lego Star Wars set right now as I'm watching. Send it to me and I'll post it on Instagram. So we can make a joke out of that. I love Lego Star Wars. Lego Star Wars 3 was the first game I grinded. I had a 27-digit credit count. Um, the yeah, Luke loves it. We've got it on the iPad. Um, I remember playing it all when I was a senior in high school. It was awesome. I don't know why I did, but I went nuts with that game. Game's awesome. Game's awesome. I love it because it's like not canon, so they can do anything they want with it. It's great. Um, all right. Well, we've been going for about an hour now. This has been fun. This has been real fun. I got to do more Star Wars things. We'll check out the watch list next week. For the watch list is really, I think, pretty fun. We've got E.T., Super 8, Jurassic Park, Jaws. There's been a request to get some comedies on this list, which I definitely will do. I might replace a few of the movies with some other things. But in general, it's just I know some of you guys are bored, so I figure, you know what? Let's watch some movies. So for Monday and Tuesday, it's E.T. and Super 8. The idea behind this is to look at two separate type of adventure alien films and see how E.T. is very character driven with Elliot and his relationship with E.T., while Super 8 is very much focused on. It's been a while since I've seen the movie, so I don't even know the kid's name. But it's very focused on him and in his kind of relationship with his father and getting over the mother's death. And his friends helping him. So it's kind of like a cross between E.T. and the Goonies and a little bit. So, but it's very also much more spectacle driven. And so, but it's clearly influenced by E.T. So we'll look at the two. They're, of course, two of the greatest directors of their generations, and you can't go wrong with them. Let's see here. Let me get back to comments. I have over $1,000 of Lego Star Wars sets, says Dalek. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. One of the guys is asking Luke, what's your favorite Lego Star Wars?
Oh, what's my favorite kind?
Yeah.
Like, what's my favorite episode?
Yeah, which one? You're playing episode 6 right now, right?
Yeah. I think it's 6.
He kind of jumps around. You know, he hasn't beaten any of the episodes yet. He's kind of jumping around. But what's your favorite character to be?
Yes, I've beaten the 1, and now I'm on 2, and of 5 I'm on 4.
Oh, okay. All right.
And of 1 I'm on 2.
Okay. Cosmic Acorn says Dumb and Dumber. Edge Stored 2 says Superbad. I was thinking about putting Dumb and Dumber on, because if you haven't seen Dumb and Dumber, you haven't seen a comedy. However, you can skip all the prequel and sequel, and it's just... It worked once, it never worked again. Madagascar 2. I've never seen Madagascar 2, so I'll have to check that out. I'm all in for more Star Wars. More. I like the penguins from Madagascar, and penguins are my favorite too. Just smile and wave, boys. Just smile and wave. I don't have Netflix. Sell me on your movie. What you making? Well, the movie I'm working on right now is a Netflix show. It's called Jupiter's Legacy. It's a comic. It's based on a comic by Mark Miller. I am not directing or writing. I am a lowly visual effects assistant editor, but it gets me awesome health insurance, which means for our latest baby, we didn't have to pay any money. So that's why you do union shows, gentlemen. Working on that. I think it'll be a pretty cool show. We're are virtually finished editing. We'll be on it through about August, and I think if you like superhero shows, you'll enjoy it. It's not a Marvel superhero show, so of course there is action, but it's also very character driven. So it's interesting in that regard. All right. Dumb and Dumber made me lose my breath more than any other movie. Dude, you're telling me. That movie's so funny. Let's see here. Star Wars Holiday Special. I'm sure that's on YouTube somewhere, right? Okay. Let's see here. I'll send you my Lego Star Wars collection. It's so big, it will make you sad. I believe you, Mythic Bricks. Mythic Bricks made an awesome recreation of Vader's medical chamber from Shards of the Past. And he brought it to... that was the one you brought to one of the showings, right, in Pasadena? Or did you send me a picture of it? I can't remember. But I know you came to the showing in Pasadena, I'm pretty sure, and showed me it was pretty awesome. And so Mythic is asking if I'm a VFX guy. I mean, I know a good amount about visual effects, but I don't do visual effects. So as a visual effects editor, that does not mean I work with the editors to ensure that everything is being tracked inside of the edit, stuff like that. And I do temp visual effects for the editors so that they can showcase what they're thinking and stuff like that. But I don't actually do visual effects for this show. So a little bit different. I mean, I know basic visual effects, but I don't know 3D visual effects. Let's see here.
What the heck is
Yeah, it's on YouTube. We can watch along, dude. Can we do that? Oh, for the Star Wars Holiday Special? That'd be fun. That'd be fun. Maybe we should try that. Maybe we should try that. Can we get Top Gun on the watch list? Hey, that's an interesting one too. I'll take some notes here. Let me just pull up
what it is.
pull up something. I'll take some notes for us. So we got Dumb and Dumber, Dumb and Dumber, Star Wars Holiday Special. If we could watch it all at the same time, I think that'd be awesome. That'd be so fun. Madagascar, potentially. What I was thinking about is I actually changed yesterday's to Onward, and I'm thinking about moving Onward maybe to another time next week because Onward is now on Disney Plus.
What does that do?
I don't know. Not sure.
Yeah,
Just destroy it. There we go.
wait, let me show
Let's
you
see
real
here.
quick. Dad,
Yeah.
look. Dad, look.
I don't know, Luke.
Wait, it's gonna show
Mythic Bricks has got a channel, so check it out.
See? What was that?
I don't know. All right. Yeah, that's right. You showed me the thing at the premiere. Okay, so I think let's try. I'll look into doing the Star Wars Holiday Special. We can all watch it together. We'll hit that up next week or the week after. But I think that's a safe bet. You know, when I first started doing these, for those of you who were with me, I was like, actually had the film up that had watched that day, and I was like going through and talking about certain things, but I get hit with copyrights every time. So I guess there's just kind of a different algorithm that watches the live streams because, you know, I was trying to only show very small snippets like I do in my other, or I have done in my other videos, and I've virtually never gotten hit with a copyright with that. So unfortunately, that's why I'm just sitting here talking and not being able to show scenes, which I would like to do, so we can actually talk about general filmmaking stuff. All right, Cosmic Acorn. Send me the link for the holiday special, or I can probably just find it. So Onward showed up on Disney Plus on Friday, so it's been up there for a couple days. So I haven't watched it yet, but I want to see it. So I think definitely that. So yeah. Well, thanks guys for joining me tonight. Let's keep watching Clone Wars Season 7. I'm anxious to see where it goes. I hope that it ties into the general overall story arc for Star Wars a little bit more rather than being so self-contained. But I love Star Wars. I hope they keep making it forever till the day that I die. And but after I die, I just stop making it because I can't miss any. I mean, come on, let's be real here.
Daddy, what does that say?
It says touch and hold to move around.
To hold it around.
Let's see here. So, well, thanks, guys. Dale Excited says, you created the medical chamber too. Yeah, I know a couple of you did too. And the Mandalorian. We should do the Mandalorian. Oh, you mean watch it together? I don't know if we can do that. Unless we like set up a time just to watch it.
Of course, all the tractors.
I think the all right. So, okay, guys. Well, Luke loves The Mandalorian too. He's been trying to get my parents to watch it every time. Let's watch Chapter 3. Chapter 3. Yeah, I've been doing these streams almost daily at least. I did miss the last 2 days. Thursday was my wife's birthday. And then Friday, I was just super busy. I had a really late work call that just totally I couldn't do it. But I don't do them on Sundays. But hit me. Let's do it. Let's do this again on Monday. Monday is ET. So if you have ET, check it out. I'll talk a little bit about ET, and of course we can then go on to talk about some other stuff. So thanks so much, guys, for joining tonight. Remember to, well, you know the deal, to stay spiffy.